Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. One more again, Big King Sadiq hollering at you. All right, folks. Yeah, so I wanted to take a look at uh, the protocol that we're under right now in terms of lockdown or shut in or whatever you want to refer to it as. And again, I talked about this a little bit in terms of um, medical impact, right, or health impact, and how certainly not the best environment to be in closed air environments, shut-in spaces, if we are to be both stimulating respiratory health and keeping ourselves in the best environment to not be uh, contaminated, or I don't even like that word, contaminated. But anyway, I talked about it from that perspective. Now, I wanted to touch on a different perspective of it. So, something good that I've really noticed is that fortunately, a lot of people have been really coming together, right? Uh, and I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Beautiful city, a lot of really beautiful, good people, right? But quite honestly, not necessarily um, an unblemished history in terms of race relations, right? Uh, and you know, that's just a matter of fact, right? And I don't like to stray away or shy away from dealing with things that may be uncomfortable, but true, right? And that certainly is not the best history there in a lot of different ways, both living conditions, opportunity, big time on opportunity, uh, policies, um, a lot of different ways, right? But in terms of people that I have encountered, things I've witnessed, and you folks see, King Sadiq is always out somewhere, right? Uh, in this environment, I haven't been obviously traveling as much, but within the city and the quote unquote greater Pittsburgh area, I always get around. And that's what I've observed, right? It's been very positive, very uplifting for me, and very encouraging to see that a lot of folks are paying attention, right? That whole common sense factor is kicking in, right? People are starting to think about and question things that I think they previously may not have questioned before. People in general are beginning to think about things from a perspective or from an angle, or a common sense point of view that may not have been previously applied, especially in recent decades, right? Um, I guess the events of recent years has brought that about. You know, let's face it, plain and clear, there's been a lot of strange things happening, right? I think that's gotten a lot of people. Hey, what's up, fellas? Peace, love, respect. All right, peace, love, respect.
Yes, sir.
Um, but yeah, I think that's gotten a lot of folks a little bit more willing to open up their minds. Because when you see a lot of things happening out of the norm, it makes you question the norm, right? That's what spurs on quote unquote thinking out of the box. And I think because a lot more people are willing to think out of the box, then they're soaking in information that they may have previously just turned a cheek to, or turned a blind eye to, or just not bothered to digest at all. But they are now, right? And because of that when you digest new information and begin to look at things from a new perspective, it gives you the ability to process things differently, to formulate different protocols in your own life, or to rather, let me say it a different way, to formulate a different lifestyle or a different life view, right? Your outlook on life begins to change because you're opening up new neural pathways in your mind, and you're, like I said, looking at things from a different point of view, different perspectives. Perspective is very powerful. So that's what I believe I see happening. Just from the raw effect of that, right? Looking at things from different perspectives, and really having a little bit more of an open mind. I think that's where most people are these days, because they pretty much have no choice to be. There's just too many things happening outside of the norm, um, that cause us to open up our realm of possibility a little bit, right? And this is just the average person, not even someone who's necessarily gone through a spiritual awakening or has spent a lot of time studying any of these things in any great detail, right? But yeah, I just really see that. I see people's hearts. Even better way to look at it, and a better thing to mention, I see people's hearts opening up more. And that's something that, if you look at the language, if nothing else, folks, just be analytical for a minute and listen to the language of what you're hearing on the news, what you're hearing from the official, right, protocol on how to deal with things. Even the commercials for all these masks and all these different things. Listen to the language. It's all about promoting separation mentality. It's all about that, folks. It's all about separation. The focus here, if you really stop and think about it, isn't even about health protection or maintaining some level of, protection for the average citizen. That's not the focus here. The focus is separation. And perhaps the reason for that is because these quote-unquote powers that be, the socio-economic elite who do like to utilize and have, for as long as they've been in power, utilized the tactic of divide and conquer. Well, if the people are not so easily divided, they're not so easily conquered. Now, are they? Right? And I think we're seeing that one thing that even can come out of these protests is that I've seen not just one particular type or cultural background or of person who's attending or taking part, but a real rainbow of folks, right? Both culturally, background, age, demographic. Everybody has, chimed in with how they feel, whether it's been in an interview or just showing up or a message on a t-shirt, right? The bottom line is that there's a coalition of folks. And that's the sort of thing that these socioeconomic elite do not want to see, right? I mentioned before in one of my videos that these elites would like to see a race war, right? That would be very much in line with their whole depopulation theme. And that, of course, is something that we both not only need to avoid, but we need to be moving in the opposite direction. And I'm seeing people's hearts moving in the opposite direction, right? People are coming together rather than tearing further apart. And we need to have more of that. We will have more of that, right? Um, yeah, but that's just another perspective of this. I wanted us to really stop and think and pay attention to the language that's being used, right? If you really stop and listen to it analytically, it's all just about separation. So that's pretty much been the title and theme of this video. Uh, Separate them, stifle their love, right? But once again, it's failing. It's not working. And it's not going to work because we won't be separated, right? People in general, human beings, because that's what we are, folks, right? We are energetic beings in these physical human bodies having a human experience to experience, learn, grow, and mature spiritually. We all come from the same energy, just many different expressions of that energy. And it's absolutely really to take a look at our civilization. It's time we grow up. It's time we grow up. It's what is the one trait that we look at children to try and teach them when they come together in social situations, like when they're first starting to come together in school and daycare situations and things like that. We teach them to get along, right? That they should all be getting along. Because there's a certain maturity about that, folks. We should all be getting along. We should be. As a civilization, it's totally immature. We can grow past this. We have grown past this. The only reason that the elites are so desperate to hold on to that separation mentality is because it gives them a better opportunity to hold on to the old paradigm. But once again, they're going to fall flat on their faces. It's over with. The old way of living, the old way of doing things is over. This is a new day, a new paradigm. We're going to see new levels of unity and cooperation, right? We're going to see more and more open minds rather than closed minds. We're going to see more and more growth and spiritual maturity, widespread, right? That is the day and the age that we're moving into. And those that are holding on to that old paradigm of violence and war and separation and pain and misery and suffering and some people having enough and others having nothing. That paradigm is over, and it's on the way out the door. It's I understand, I get it. The folks that have lived so well during that paradigm don't want to let go of it. That's the bottom. Let's just break all this down to what it is, right? People who have enjoyed the fruits of all this pain, misery, and suffering, this low vibrational frequency existence that we've carved out on the planet for so long. They have thrived in it, right? The warmongers. How much money in the past 7 decades has been made from the sale of war weapons, from arms deals? Come on, folks. How many of these struggles, how many of these military operations, or how many of these conflicts around the globe have weapons that are produced maybe by a company that you're supporting in one way or not? Because some of these arms dealers, folks, have own corporations and companies that, like you could have a company making baby food and weapons at the same time. All this has got to stop. This mentality has to change. Agriculturally, what's been happening to the farmers, forcing them to use these terminator seeds, right, and disrupting the natural growth and production of crops. The way that these large meat producers are being told to euthanize their animals, even though they're healthy and can be utilized the same way as they had previously been, all in favor of this imitation meat, right? Which is essentially cooked up in a lab. I mean, come on, folks. It's like, to make it easier to facilitate that depopulation vision, they want to herd people more and more in this direction of artificial living and away from nature. Because it's easier to kill you like that. I can't put it any other way, right? When you take care of yourself, when you live a high vibrational frequency existence, when you're not constantly flooding your body with unhealthy, toxic food, with these toxic medications, with tons and tons of side effects. Here's something a lot of people don't think about. Many of these medications are tested, right, before they're released, but they're tested only as a single medication or a single chemical that is consumed or digested in some way by the public, right? But not many tests are run on the long-term effects of these chemicals in concert with one another, right? So if you're sitting there taking 4 or 5 different medications, and they're saying, oh, this medication is safe, this medication is safe, or we've tested this medication. First of all, still, there's still a lot of room for pause there, especially anybody who's familiar with the FDA fast track. But also, you don't know how these medications react with one another or how they impact your system or your body when they're used in concert. So again, all these things are fruits of or results of a mentality that's going away, right? But is desperately attempting to hold its grip on the paradigm and keep an old paradigm in place that would love to see us separate, that would love to see our growing love for one another stifled. But it ain't working. It ain't working. It ain't going to work, right? It can't work. It won't work. No matter what is done to prevent the movement into this new paradigm, it's a useless effort. It will not be successful. Period. We will grow more and more into a unity conscious, right? As a species on this planet. Come on, we should be moving forward, not backward, right? And we will have a whole lot more unity on this planet, and we will behave in a lot more civilized manner. And because of that, we'll start getting a lot more advancement in areas that we could have been advancing for quite some time. So it's a beautiful thing. The future looks good because we're shaping it collectively that way, right? That's why collectively we need to hold on to each other, right? And not separate from one another, right? Don't buy into keep them separate, stifle their love. Come together and love more, right? Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq, thank you.